Hi, I'm Edward O'Neill, and I'm an instructional designer. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about this course, Introduction to Learning Science. It's the first in a series of 4 courses that teaches you to do what I do for a living. So, what does an instructional designer do for a living? Well, people come to you and they pose problems for you. Someone might come to you and say, I'm a professor of geography and I need to put one of my courses online. Or someone might say, our company is having problems with workplace harassment and we'd like to train people better to avoid this because it's wrong. Or a baker might come to you and say, I bake the best croissants in the world, but I'm tired of baking croissants. I want to teach other people to bake their own croissants. Or a college might come to you and say, well, we have an internship program we're starting up, but we want to make sure that it's the best possible learning experience for students. Someone could come to you from an agency in your state and say, we pay people's unemployment, but we think that if they were better at interviewing, they might get jobs sooner, and that would be better for them and better for the taxpayers. And all of these requests end the same way. Can you help me? And you want to help them because you're a helpful person and you like a challenge. But before you design anything, before you solve any of these problems, you have to understand the problems, and you have to know some of the broad things that science can tell us. Things like, what makes people learn? How does learning actually work? What makes learning more likely to happen rather than less likely to happen? More enjoyable and meaningful even. And you need to know things about the problem you're trying to solve. What's going on? What's working? What's not working? How might learning fix or improve this situation? Is it possible there's some other solution that's not learning? If it's learning, what kind of learning is it? Do people need to change their attitudes? Do they need new skills? Do they need to understand different concepts? And you might have to do a bunch of work to understand this problem. You might need to interview people and even observe them going about their work. You might need to collect and organize information and even visualize it so you can communicate it clearly with stakeholders. You might need to consult research on the topic to find out if scientists have studied something close to what you're dealing with. And you need to form some idea of what a solution might be, which includes a way to find out if that solution is correct. That is, you need a hypothesis about what will make learning work, and you need to be able to verify that the learning has really happened, that your hypothesis was correct. And finally, you need to be able to summarize this very neatly because you need to be able to explain to people what you're doing. You may need to give a presentation or make a video like this one or create a document or an infographic. It might involve charts and tables. You're going to practice all these things in this course. You'll pick some problems that are meaningful to you, to which you'd like solutions. It could be something more personal, like teaching someone to bake a perfect croissant. It could be something from the professional domain, like workplace harassment training. It could be something from higher ed, like putting a geography course online. Or you might like to solve a social problem, like helping people get off of unemployment sooner. So this week you'll start. You'll share some learning experiences you've had, some that were great, some that were not so great, and you'll discuss them with each other. You can share personal learning experiences, or you can find experiences reported in the media or even represented in movies or popular culture if you like. And you'll also find instructional materials online or something that you've used. It could be a popular instructional material like a cooking video. It could be something used in a corporate training, or it could be a resource that's used in a course in higher ed. You'll bring these together and share them so that you can work on them together. And as the course goes on, you'll learn about some of the major theories about learning and scientific research on the subject. And you'll practice the things instructional designers really do. You'll interview and observe people. You'll collect, organize, and visualize data. You'll find research that's relevant to the problem you're trying to solve, and you'll learn to develop a hypothesis about what will make learning more likely rather than less in this particular case, so that you can help people learn and show that it's really happened. In short, you'll learn how learning works. You'll learn the agreed upon and well-researched principles, so you can take the messy, sometimes unfocused problems that people face in life and work and develop a clear, testable solution about how learning would be best organized to solve that problem. Now, if learning were a math problem, you could say, in this course, you'll set up the problem, and in the next course, you'll solve it. But this course is going to get you halfway there. And if that sounds like only half the job, consider this. Psychologists tell us that one of the major differences between experts and beginners when it comes to solving problems is experts spend more time setting up the problem and then checking their work at the end, whereas beginners just kind of plunge in pell-mell, and oftentimes the path they seek doesn't get them where they need to go. Albert Einstein, the famous physicist, was no slouch as a problem solver. He once said if he had an hour to solve a difficult problem, he'd spend 55 minutes setting up the problem and 5 minutes solving it. So that's some serious expert advice. In this course, you'll work with peers, you'll get feedback from each other, as well as from the course instructors. If you're taking the course for purely informational reasons, you might only do the work that interests you, and you might not worry about how your work stacks up against that of your peers. If you want to become an instructional designer or already have that job title or something similar and want more training, you can do more work, you can pay more attention to how you're evaluated. You'll see clear standards for what it means to complete this course, and if you're taking the course for a certificate, you'll have to do a certain amount of work to a certain standard, but you'll get personalized feedback and support. At the end of the course, you'll have a dossier of cases that you've created, learning experiences, instructional materials that you've analyzed using learning theory and science, and instructional problems you've taken a step towards solving by trying to collect information about them and understand them and frame them so you're ready later to design instruction on them. And then you'll be ready to go on to the next course in the sequence in which you'll design an instructional solution, and in later courses implement through technology and evaluate the solutions, if technology is the appropriate way to help people learn. In short, you'll take steps towards thinking and working like an instructional design professional, and I'm delighted to be your guide alongside you on this journey.